somewhere around post 9/11, I was really, I came out as a chef so young, so I always feel like the chef of me is so early and it's who I am, but the man and the person in me really, I didn't go to college. My college was, running a kitchen.
Yeah.
So I always have to play catch up on evolving as a person. And obviously being adopted has also, like, you run this duality constantly in your head. And post 9/11, when you're really thinking about, why am I here? Should I go back to Sweden or should I go back to Europe? And my mom was constantly telling me, like, this is not how you leave. You can't leave based on this. If you leave in 2 years, fine. But you're not leaving based on this horrific incident. Because I'm like, who cares about food after this, right? And I was really struggling with that. And she was really the one that pushed me to, like, where are you happy? You always talk about Harlem. You should move to Harlem. And that was 8 years before we opened Red Rooster. But part of that process was also thinking about, like, as a black person, as a black chef, what is my responsibility and what would, are there other things that I can do? Can I open more doors? And you work as a young person so hard on just getting into the room. Once you're in that room, whether it's being a woman in the kitchen or whether it's being a person of color in the space, once I moved, I realized, okay, here is the path. This path would be very different. And it would definitely be mission-driven. So those 7 years between moving to Harlem and opening Rooster, I worked on the restaurant every day, and figuring out identity. And, I was lucky in Harlem, you have Schomburg, which is connected to the New York City libraries, and all the information about historically African-American restaurants and chefs, and I really studied it. And for me, it was very important to flip what's back of the house to front of the house, an open kitchen.
Yep.
So it's very visible who's working in that kitchen. And also bringing back this, who never seen these incredible kitchens that I had the luxury to work in. It was people of color and it was women. So these two things, was kind of like, okay, how can you flip this? So obviously opening Rooster with that mission, making sure that we're a 50-50 kitchen, evolving it to Havmar, where you have a complete feminine-driven restaurant where the chef and all the leadership positions are held by women of color. Those processes was never, part of me becoming a chef. It was just the evolution of becoming a person, parallel to becoming a chef, and not fully understanding that cooking game is it's like a cake with different slices, but it's very expensive to enter, not from a labor point of view, but if you want to provide wine, well, first you're going to own land, and then you're going to process that land, and so it's very expensive for people unless you have generational wealth to get in. So it's blocked away from the majority of the population. How can you flip that as a chef?